Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here. This is just going to be a little bonus video that will go live at some point. I haven't figured out when yet. This is going to be the last match of a four-color Loam league I played on February 22nd. It is a blue Loam deck featuring Oko and Urel. Here we go. So I have 2 mana available turn 1. I would need a land to Oko. I have a lot of Oko. I don't really think that this is a keepable hand. I'm going to do the good old MTG Goldfish thing real quick. One was last seen on Steel Stompy. Oko's fine there, but if my opponent has any sort of wasteland stuff, I think I'm just dead. I think this hand is going to be too clunky and too risky. I'm going to try to find something safer. Yeah, this is better. And under the assumption that we are playing against Steel Stompy, because my opponent has a ton of finishes with it, I am just going to go ahead and bottom the Chalice. JK! At least it's a Blood Sun and not a Blood Moon. So we can't fetch anymore. So in case you aren't familiar with this one, all lands lose all abilities except mana abilities. So the fetch land loses the ability to be tapped for mana. So the Mox from the previous hand would have been real strong. Opponent could be on the red Eldrazi deck, or they could be on a red Prison deck. Or Painter with Blood Sun? Interesting. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think my opponent's playing Painter. What does the Spirit Guide indicate? Does the Spirit Guide indicate they can just go for it all in one turn? Like, play land, have 4 mana, Spirit Guide is 5 mana. So it's 3 to activate Grindstone, right? Just idiot check myself. So that would be 4, 5, 6 total mana. So with Soul Land and Spirit Guide, they could go for it all in one go. I think I'm just going to hold up Decay so I don't die. Fudge. Well. This is not great for me. So that's what the mana was for. I think I'm going to need to decay this Blood Sun and turn this into a fetchable land. I think I'm going to need to be doing multiple spells later on this game. So this is interesting, because this can be turned into a land later on. Or sorry, this can be turned into an elk later on. And note that you do have to discard a land to it. Well, I know I just decayed that, but I might be discarding this Verdant Catacombs now and putting the Caracas into play. So I don't lose another life to this. I can also defer this decision by 1 turn safely in all likelihood. No, if I want to elk this and use it to pressure Chandra starting next turn, or pressure them, I need to play it this turn. Okay. So I'm not going to animate it this turn, though, so I can go green, colorless, blue, Oko, plus create a food. I think I might be racing my opponent rather than trying to kill Chandra. Oh, I guess I didn't think about my opponent just -6ing with Chandra on the Oko. I guess that's awkward. Well, I guess if they -6 on that, then I can play Bob, use Bob to try to dig me out of this game. Coupled with Sylvan Library, I shouldn't actually take any damage from it after the first turn. Oh, this game's gonna get weird, folks. I don't know that I like main deck Chandra Awakened Inferno in the format that we're in right now. Like, you have decks like Breach to worry about. And this is going to be a relatively dead card in those matchups. It's obviously going to be great on a matchup like this one. I don't know that this is the best main deck spell right now, though. So my guess is my opponent is currently trying to figure out whether or not they, like, ignore the Oko, whether they're on the defensive, whether they're on the offensive, whether or not they try to just answer Elks, whether they, like... I don't think my opponent's spot is straightforward by any stretch of the imagination. Best draw might be something like a Knight of the Reliquary in another turn or two, where I could, like, once it's out of range of this Chandra killing it, a Knight can threaten to do, like, half of my opponent's life total in a single attack. Unfortunately, we don't have something like Assassin's Trophy to just outright answer this card. Not even in the sideboard. Okay. So now does the recruiter attack? That's the next question. Alright, and it attacks me. So opponent is choosing to gun for my life total. And now what are you doing? Because each Ancient Tomb activation is more and more dangerous than the last. Oof. The double pain lands in this build have been rough. I don't know that I'm beating that Fiery Confluence. So I can gain up to 6 life and go to 14. Assuming that Chandra pluses, I'm taking 3, 4, 5 damage each turn. Well, 5 plus 6 plus 7. So I'm dead in 3 turns to board, more or less. I simultaneously need to commit more things to the board while also dealing with this Chandra. And attacking the Chandra doesn't really get me anywhere. Can I make my opponent board wipe? Because if my opponent board wipes, it slows down their clock. Not even sure that I'm supposed to play out this land. There's worlds where I'm supposed to keep this. So I think I take my card filtering. I have to like pay life to gain life here. It's so bad. I also don't know that I can actually get rid of this mana source because of these pain lands. So I'm gonna try to go for a win via damage. But I think I'm in a very bad position. Another problem is, like, can I even cast this Bob this game at all? Period. Full stop. Okay, so what's my opponent most likely to do on current board? Is it destroy my Oko? Or is it board wipe? Or is it plus? If I play the Bob, I'm threatening a lethal attack. So they probably have to wipe. Oh, this game is weird. So this costs me 1 life. But puts my opponent into kind of a weird spot decision-wise. So this can put me to 6. Then I can take 3 in my upkeep, try to survive the Bob trigger, then either present lethal with Oko, or gain 3 life. I'm okay with this. And my opponent might actually just minus here and kill the board. Okay. Alright, library. Let's find some hotness. Life from the Loam is not where I want to be. None of those cards are really where I want to be. I don't have threshold for this. So if my opponent pluses in attacks, I am dead on board. Play a Chalice on 0, exchange it for Painter. Don't love it. I guess I'm making food using 2 mana to eat the food. I don't really have the mana to, like, play towards a life from the Loam victory. This is another pain land, so I can't take any of these. So that does mean Chalice is the keep. Are there situations here where I just, like, bluff attack and see if they jump? If they don't jump, I die. But if I make the attack, it means that I have something else to stay alive. Otherwise, there's 4 damage showing. I'll go to 3 by making the food. Alright. I guess it's 2. I have this pain. Or no, I can just play the Chalice for 0. Which I will just go ahead and do. Note, I am not playing the Chalice on 1 so that I can eat food without hurting myself. So that'll minus get a Sorcerous Spyglass to shut off Oko. And that has also denied me a mana source. So that should be GG right there. I should turn off auto yields to at least pretend like I have Abrupt Decay. I guess my opponent could also just set Karn Plus on the Painter Servant and increase the clock. I don't think I love that line. That was already turned off. No attack. Alright. So I still don't have Threshold. So this isn't doing anything. I can cycle Baron more, but it just draws into one of these other 2 cards. I think this is the point where I will go ahead and throw in the towel. We were close there. I did some work, but we couldn't quite get there. Alright, so what do I want against this Painter Prison Planeswalker pile? So my opponent is probably going to have, like, Welders, Crater Makers, Painter Servants, Recruiters, Magus, Simian Spirit Guide. My Chalices are okay against the blasts and the grindstones. But I kind of wonder, like, how much of the painter package my opponent is actually going to focus on versus how much of the planeswalker package. So, like, I'm gonna want this. This is okay in that it can stop some of the stuff coming down early, but I don't know that I'm gonna actually focus on this. Plague Engineer can, like, technically do some things, but I don't know that I'm gonna want that. I will probably want the Swords to Plowshares. I'll potentially want Thalia. I don't really think this is a Maze of Ith fight. I'm going to board out at least one land. I'm a little unsure how to board. Because there's these conflicting parts of the decks. Like Chalice is very bad versus the Planeswalker side, and also bad versus Karn. But fine against the Painter portion of the deck. I need to respect the Blast, though, because I am actually just playing Oko. I don't think Loam's amazing. I'm going to shave one of those. I want to keep the Green Sun since I'm also having Oof. Maybe let's shave one of the Pain lands. It's also a non-basic. And then maybe I'm tapping out too frequently for Drowning the Locks to be good. They're also not great versus Chandra. It's either that or don't play the Thalias. Maybe I just won't play the Thalias. This one I think is a mulligan. I don't have 2 colors of mana, and this Chalice is not going to be great in this opening hand either. This hand is unexciting, but probably fine. I don't think I want an Ooze this early. I'm going to sandbag showing this forest for as long as possible. So I need black mana to turn these things on. That's just going to name Oko, since I don't have anything showing in hand here. Oh, wow. Very surprised about that. But I guess opponent might be land light with their hand in a top. Get out, Dryad Arbor. So this is something they're doing to protect themselves rather than stop one of my primary win conditions. We probably just took the worst draw in our deck there. Okay, so now my Chalice doesn't do anything this game. Okay. That's how we lose this one, huh? So we can just die this turn to Mycosynth Lattice. I probably need to cycle this land in response. Great. So there's my block mana. That comes into play tapped. This isn't actually a removal spell right now because my opponent has no cards in graveyard. Layers are fun. Okay, so why does that work the way that does? Oh, okay. All right, I see. Got it. So now I can decay something. So what direction is my opponent taking with this card? So my opponent knows I have these decays. So if I let that resolve, they just hold up the mana, and then I'll die as soon as I tap anything. So I do need to respond to this here. And if they have a blast, like, they have a blast. Whoa, hold up. If to counter that, didn't I just lose the game on the spot? Right, they had 1 mana floating plus an Ancient Tomb. That's 3 mana to activate. So they could have... Yeah. That was it. So, like, I'm still very dead, right? Like, the combination of cards that my opponent has still is going to beat me. But I think they just missed lethal, presumably because they forgot about their floating mana. Because this is one-sided, not two-sided. Yeah, so I don't know what was up there. My opponent is expending so much life that I might, like, accidentally just, like, play an Oko and kill them. Thunderous Wrath off the top. More land. I think I'm going to value my time here and just go ahead and concede. The top of the deck was not kind this game, and my opponent also kind of had a nutty start. So I know I didn't do a recap at the end of my video, so just kind of recapping this deck list. I do not like having 2 pain lands in this deck list. I think if you draw both of them, well, it's really 3, right? So there's Cabal Pit, there's Nurturing Peatland, and Waterlogged Grove. Having 3 cards that deal you damage in addition to your fetch lands and your bobs is, I think, too much. So I think some of that needs to go. Otherwise, I felt okay about the deck list as a whole. Again, a little unsure about whether or not 4 Okos is correct. I could totally see, like, 3 Okos and another Uro, or, let me pull up a list that I just saw on Twitter. Matt's played a deck list. Oh, nope, that's a different one. Yeah, Matt's played a deck list that tried out a Pride Mage in the 2-drop flex slot with fewer pain lands. Sorry, this was the 5-0 that I was thinking of, where he had 3 Okos, 2 Uros, 1 Teferi. So I think there's some wiggle room to refine this. I definitely don't like having more than 1 of these sorts of pain lands. I can see another alongside the Cabal Pit, because Cabal Pit has utility in that you can tutor up with Knight and whatnot. But I really don't like the Peat land. that's in this deck. Not 100% sold on Drown in the Loch. There were a couple of times where it was dead, kind of as we saw in that exact game, in fact. But I understand the flexibility and the power level that it has. It scales with the deck, so as time goes on, it gets better, like many of the cards in this deck, like from Loam, Knight, Scavenging Ooze, Uro, Oko. Like, all these cards get better over time. Maybe this needs to be something that's a little better in the early game instead. Anyway, I hope you folks enjoyed, and I'll be back again with more videos soon.